Here we are.
This painting is by John Lewis Krimmel. He was a well-known painter in early Philadelphia's history in early 19th century, and he was noted for his sort of scenes of everyday life, a slice of life as it was occurring, sort of like if you took a photograph today. And this scene shows a tavern somewhere in the Philadelphia area. And what's interesting about it was this was exhibited the same time as the Birch painting in 1814. And close examination on the walls, you will see in the background a map of the Great Lakes, which is certainly where a lot of the action was taking place in 1813. And then on either side are images of naval victories. You can see newspapers hanging down. So this is really about the current news that's coming in, people discussing the events of the day, sort of like we do today.
Very nice.
And then these two images, or these images over here, are 19th century, later 19th century views of the Battle of Lake Erie. And when you examine them, you'll see that there's really gone is that idea of being extremely accurate.
The waters look like the ocean.
The waters look like the ocean. The Lawrence, which Perry has already left, still is flying the Don't Give Up the Ship flag.
Well, where's the Lawrence there?
Right here in the center.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
and you can see where the flag at the top says, Don't Give Up the Ship. Well, we knew Perry took it with him. And so these are really, just more patriotic views of the battle and less about accuracy. Mm-hmm. But what really is interesting about them is they are accurate in one way in which other images may not be. And we know for a fact that roughly 10% of the men involved with the Battle of Lake Erie were African Americans. Mm-hmm. And you actually see them depicted in these later images where you don't really see them depicted in the earlier ones. So in that aspect, they are very accurate. But really outside of that, they're really more in the artist's imagination. And then this one we're looking at now, this is a lithograph after the painting that's in the State House in Columbus, Ohio, or the other painting that's in the Capitol building in Washington by Powell. He painted this heroic image of the Battle of Lake Erie around 1859, 1860. And this is an 1880s version of a lithograph after that painting. And you can see in it that he took bits and pieces of other scenes and sort of worked them all together into one. But once again, not historically accurate. There was not an American flag flying on Perry's rowboat, we know for a fact. The hairstyles are 1880s hairstyles, not 19th century. So, but it's still a very dramatic image showing that sort of important moment of the battle. And this is one from about the 1840s. It's done by Courier before it became Courier Knives. And it shows the Battle of Lake Erie, and you have portraits of other famous captains, but the portrait of Perry, the one that's sort of top and center, shows him in a very dramatic pose, unlike the other ones, which are in a very static pose. Because he'd already died at this point, and he was sort of like a hero for the U.S., and so they wanted to really show this young, gallant hero, where the other men are more traditionally posed in their uniforms. And then one of the last sort of images for this show is this painting by Chapman. This dates from 1913, and he painted for the Bicentennial exhibition. He painted other scenes that are now in the Naval Academy's collection of other battles associated with the War of 1812. And what makes this painting really sort of special and unique is I didn't even discover this until about a month after the show was up, that it's not exactly the Battle of Lake Erie as we are used to seeing in other images. You have here on the left the small rowboat with Perry in it going to the Niagara. But in the center of the picture, this large ship is also the Niagara with Perry on it because the battle flag is flying off the top. So the artist chose to depict the two key moments of the battle simultaneously to give you a sort of unified view of it. Now, whether this is part of the sort of early 20th century sort of storytelling or romanticized view, or even you can think of it as almost like a slow action movie where you move from the right to the left, and you can see the different parts of the battle, and it tells a whole story. But it's a rather unique depiction of the Battle of Lake Erie.
Might be like a panorama or
It shows the time as well as the scene.
Right.
It's like you
Instead
did-
of moving like the old ones did, it's just static.
Right. So they added the fourth dimension into it.
Oh, nice. So we've seen everything here. So, Ed, what did you come away with? What did you learn here that besides the things you've told me that you think you'd like to pass on to people?
I guess one of the most important things is before I started this exhibition, I knew what everybody else knew about the Battle of Lake Erie, which was very little. Don't give up the ship, Erie won it. That's all I knew about it. And so now I have a greater understanding and a greater respect for what had happened during the Battle of Lake Erie. It might get me to sort of delve into history more and to see how art and history can be combined.
Oh, yes, because this is what happened, art and history. Well, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Okay.